I had somebody call in to work telling me that they can't come in today because they have really, really, really bad period pains. Their first days of their period are really heavy. I didn't ask for that information, but it was volunteered to me. Ugh. Okay, fine, sure. I think I was raised in a mentality that said, as women, we're not supposed to complain about these things, especially not out loud. We can maybe say it to our friends or something, but not to our boss, Like, of course, I let her not come to work, but I haven't yet talked to this employee and sort of said to her, of all the excuses in the world, I'd rather you told me you were sick.
I mean, I can absolutely relate. I think that's a lot of information to share. That's the one thing I will say. However, this generation shares it all. What I would have said to her probably is, you know yourself best. If you feel like you cannot come in today, I respect that. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's like what I would want to say to her is very different than what I would say to her. I mean, I'm a Gen Xer. We never would have said anything like that. I just would have taken a lot of Advil.
Exactly. I probably would have just powered through. And, again, that might be a more sort of older way of thinking about it, but I'm okay with that. So thank you. I think that's really helpful because I didn't know what to do. And I was kind of steaming about this. I was like, and what do I want her to do? Make up an excuse that's lying? I mean, I'd prefer that she'd be truthful rather than make up something. That was fun.
Thank you.
All right. So, hi, everyone. Welcome to Workplace Weirdness, the non-HR HR podcast where we dive into the strangest office situations and the most awkward workplace dramas. I'm your host, Maya Kadar-Kowalski, and I'm a former chief culture officer and head of people, and I've seen and heard it all, so truly no judgments. So let's get real and explore the cringy, confusing, and chaotic side of office life. Today, we're talking about how emotional optimism, bravery, and efficiency can boost careers and support a company's profit, even in these changing times. My guest is Claude Silver. She is VaynerX's Global Chief Heart Officer, a title that was created in recognition of her empathetic approach to leadership. And with a background in global advertising and psychology, Claude has guided VaynerX's growth from 400 to 2,500 employees and contributed to the company's recognition as a breakthrough media agency. Her first book, Be Yourself at Work, which is right here, published by Harper Business, was released just yesterday. Claude, I'm so happy to have you here, and congrats on the book.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. Thank you so much.
So first off, let's just get into it. I want to hear about the book. Your book is about the strength someone offers when they bring their whole self to work. And you talk specifically about 3 pillars, which is optimism, bravery, and efficiency.
Yeah.
So please explain it.
Yeah, so go for it.
Yeah.
Emotional optimism is knowing that there are days that it's going to suck. However, the optimism is it will get better. Tomorrow will get better. Like, this was okay. You can get support. So it's being able to kind of name the feeling without owning the feeling, and then knowing that I have the agency to see it a different way and come back tomorrow and be like, all right, it's a new day. I'm going to go for it. The bravery is taking action. Once we do that often enough in our own self, you don't have to hang on to the drama as much. You're like, oh, I trust myself. I can do that. It's okay to be emotional. That's totally okay. And you're going to get through it. So what I say is, yes, of course, you can bring your emotions to work. I just ask that you are aware of them and you're able to regulate them.
Right.
So it doesn't spill everywhere. Because no one wants to clean up your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
That's the deal. You should clean up your emotions.
I'm curious if within the book there's ways to sort of get a better sense of who you are.
So the book, the framework of the book starts out with, it's all about you first.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you are the CEO of you. So I talk about that. Then it's, okay, you being empowered to go on a team and bringing all that goodness to a team, conflict resolution, all of that. And then you as a leader shaping culture. So it's an evolution, right? And so in the book, in the first part, which is all about you, it's literally like, I start with grounding exercises. I start with, when you hear this, what do you feel? Where do you feel it? Like that kind of stuff, kind of like almost somatic therapy in a way.
Interesting.
And then I ask people to do a fun timeline exercise. So kind of going back to when you're 5 and like, who were you at 5? And when you were 13, who were you at 13? Because you and I both know there's a change when, especially young women get into adolescence or early adolescence. Who were you at 16? Who were you at 20, 25, that kind of stuff. So you can almost, for a second, see the evolution and the transition of yourself or see where you got stuck. Another great exercise, I think, is Post-it notes or sticky notes. So looking at your imposter syndrome. And it's hard if someone doesn't know what an imposter syndrome is, just listen to your inner voice for a second. And what is that inner voice saying on repeat that is negative over and over and over and over? That's your limiting belief. And that basically is going to stop you in your tracks. Is it true? Are you really dumb? Like, is that true? How is that true? Do you have evidence for that? Probably not, right? Because you're no longer taking the SATs, right? So if that's not true, then what is true? I am a different kind of learner. Write down what is true, but it has to also light you up.
Also, or you can add the word yet to the end of it, right? You can turn it into a growth mindset exercise. In other words, I am not good at XYZ yet. I just haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, I love that.
I mean, even just confidence, I think, grows with time and experience and sometimes with age. Because I just was thinking about the younger women. You know, I happen to have 2 young girls in my house. And I see how, you know, the confidence just grows with time, with age,
and hopefully, obviously, good parenting and, you know, maybe doing something that boosts your confidence, such as sports or dance or whatnot.
Right. So tell us the background of your title, Chief Heart Officer.
Yes.
Who came up with that? And,
I was working I work for Gary Vaynerchuk. I work with and for Gary, who's just an incredible entrepreneur and he's really a mensch in many, many ways, just an awesome, awesome guy. And so I started at VaynerMedia in 2014, and I was the first SVP that he hired, probably because I was old enough. I was older than pretty much everyone, and
he needed an adult in the room. Is that it?
An adult in the room, and that had like agency experience and stuff.
Okay,
I was running the biggest account, Unilever, and I had a great big team, and it was wonderful, and it was very obvious that I enjoyed being with the team and growing and nurturing and fostering them much more than I enjoyed looking at a bottle of shampoo and talking about the efficacy of the shampoo. I just lost the love. I had done it for a very long time. So I went in and I said to Gary, you know, I love this place. It's great. This is fantastic, but I don't want to do advertising anymore. I only care about the people here. I care about the heartbeat of this place.
Aww.
And so I ended up resigning about 6 months later, found my backfill. He called me. We went to breakfast, and he's 3 months later, he's like, "That's it. You're going to be Chief Heart Officer." I said, "All right. Well, a couple things. One, you know, I never wanted to do HR." And he said, "That's right. But you're going to learn HR and then hire a strong team around you." So 10 years later, I've got the best team ever.
Amazing.
And now I sit on top of it. I said, "What are we building here?" You know, I've been here 16 months. And he said, We're building the single greatest human organization in the history of time." And I was like, sign me up. That's aspirational. And then I said, "How do we know if I'm successful?" And he said, "You will touch every single human being and deploy empathy throughout the agency." And that's my only job description to this day.
So actually, speaking of Gary, there is a video going around where he discusses your role. He highlights 2 main goals. One thing is that you find the superstars because the company's already too big. He doesn't know everybody and he wants input on how to identify what he calls beacon employees. And then the second thing that he says is that you're making sure that nobody is weaponizing fear and politics at work. So let's talk about it. So first of all, how are you identifying? I'm just curious, you know.
Well, I spend the majority of my day talking to people, listening to people in one-on-ones or in group settings. And so either people are proactively setting up time with me or I'm proactively setting up time with them because either I have a hunch that something might not be going great, or I have a great hunch that they've done something fantastic and let's applaud that.
Right.
So I'm in these one-on-ones and, you know, I'm asking them all kinds of questions like, you know, this is one of my favorite questions. How did we find you? And I love that question because I want them to feel seen.
Right.
how did we find you? Right?
I love that.
It depends on who they are. Have you made any friends outside of your team? Like those kind of questions. I play Rosebud Thorn quite a bit.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Especially when people are like, I don't exactly know how to talk to you or what to talk to you about. I think I'm like extremely easygoing, but I understand a title gets in the way sometimes. So as I'm listening to people, one person can be like, yeah, I played in the NFL. And now I'm here and I pivoted my career and so forth and so on. And I'm like, whoa, hello, Vayner Sports. We have a former NFL player here. Get to know him. The other thing I'll do with that person is I'll say, hey, especially if you're new, a year in or so or less, hey, have you met many people here? No, I really haven't. Great. I can't wait to introduce you. I have like 10 people I'm going to introduce you to.
Amazing.
And those are 10 people that I call culture champions. I've got about 30 of them all over the globe. And I'm going to say, hey, everyone, meet my new friend, Maya. She's on the media team. She loves water skiing. She's got a golden doodle and she's working on the Meta account. Like in the next 3 months, I want you all to have 15 minutes with her. Great. So you've just met 10 people and they're influential people enough. I know that they're going to treat you right. Okay, so that's the good. Or if I'm with one of the leaders and they say, "Oh yeah, Maggie is crushing it. You should have seen what she just did the other day." Whatever, I'll slack her and say, "Maggie, I just heard your manager like singing your praises. Oh my God, I know that makes me so happy. I love doing that. That's cheering someone on."
Having them be seen, feel seen, right?
Yeah, I want them to be seen and I want them to feel good.
Right.
Right. And so then the opposite is if I know someone is struggling, I will have a conversation with them and I'll try to figure out like, why do you feel like you need to control the situation so much? Or, hey, it's really great having you here. Like we love your energy and all of that. But I have to tell you, your vulnerability is really your micromanagement. And so I'm very honest, but with a lot of kindness.
There is something really right about that. Not every organization is going to answer the needs of every person. And that's okay. And you come into an organization to learn certain things.
Yep.
And then you take what you learned and bring it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Now the second part of the question. I'm not letting you I want to hear, how are you sure that no one's weaponizing fear in politics at work? I just, I think it's a tough one. But I think a lot of people would benefit from hearing any insights you have.
So one of the ways I can do that is I'm in a lot of conversations. I'm listening constantly. I'm in talent mapping. The reason I'm putting it on the managers first is because I think a lot of agita stems from managers not knowing how to manage or leaders. Now, someone could come in and all of a sudden just turn cynical. They don't like us. They don't like our process, or they want to be here because of Gary, but they think that we're just full of the beans. Well, that's going to get found out. And then we'll have that conversation of literally like, what is going on? What has made you unhappy here? I actually want to know because I'd like to fix it if I can. I have that ability to say like, if you tell me, we can find solutions to almost everything here. And so if they're telling me, then sometimes I can be like, oh, okay, you're actually the problem. You have to go. And I'm not going to say that in that meeting. I want to come back. The Vayner citizen is a very particular citizen. We want to do right by people. We want to leave people feeling better than we found them. We really want to deploy, kindness and gratitude and humility. And those things, they come and they go and they come and they go and they come and they go. It's a journey.
Are there any mistakes you kind of made early on in your career that taught you big lessons?
Yeah. I mean, early on in my career, 1,001, because I got a late start into corporate. I graduated college at 28. And in those days, you really needed a college education. Back in those days.
Yeah.
And at Vayner, actually, one of the biggest one, a huge learning that I think both Gary and I had was when we didn't really have an HR function. And that was me trying to really figure it out with a couple other people. We didn't have talent mapping at the time. So it was really literally like going and talking to all of the department heads or account managers and account directors and saying like, who's your top? Who's not your top? Right.
Sometimes people do top 3, bottom 3, whatever.
10-80-10, right? Which we don't do anymore. And so Gary had asked me to go suss that out. And I think he actually said, write an email and suss it out. And I wrote the email. And the email ended up in Agency Spy the next day.
Oh.
Yeah. And that was enormous learning that I don't have those conversations over email. I have those conversations in person, on the phone, or on a video. and I get everyone together. So I learned my lesson that way, which was an enormous lesson.
Wow, that is a big one. Yeah, it's a big one, and I think I think I've also at some point in the HR career trajectory also understood that there are some things that are better to say face to face. You just need to have a conversation, and of course, things are unfortunately
things
leakable.
are sensitive. Yeah,
they're sensitive.
Yeah, so.
They always say that, like, don't print something that you wouldn't want to be put on the New York Times
because it's going to show up on the printer.
Yeah,
we had that happen a few times where salaries were left out on the printer.
Oh yes, actually that's actually something that happened to us once too. Before we get to our listener questions, which is the last segment, let's stay up to date with the week in work. This is our take on recent trends in the workplace that are changing how we work or how we think about work life. Okay. So there was a post on Reddit recently that I actually posted on my LinkedIn and got a lot of traction on my LinkedIn as well. An employee wrote into their manager that they were, quote, feeling a bit overwhelmed with all the work and my energy feels a little off. So not getting the vibe right now. I just love it. Like, not getting the vibe right now. I'll be out from this date to this date. So I found it pretty interesting, and I wanted to hear your take on it.
I just giggled.
Yeah. It sparked a whole debate between Gen Zers and those who've been working in offices a bit longer. So, Claude, I want to ask you, do you consider this unprofessional and sort of oversharing, or do you think it's being authentic and bringing your whole self to work? I want to hear your take on it.
I think it's a mix. I don't think it's unprofessional. I think what I would say in that case, I would have to probably go a little HR and say, do you have a doctor's note? Like, or is there an accommodation we can make? Or do you need to work with headphones on? Or like, what is it? It's pretty egregious, I would say. I think there needs to be a little bit more meat on the bone there because there's many times we all feel a little off during our day. But that's normal. So what I would say to that person is, well, let's figure out what's burning you out or what's making your vibe go off because we can either fix it, we can give you an accommodation, or sure, go get a doctor's note and take, if the doctor says 1 or 2 weeks off. So there's a real lack of accountability there. So what happens if you had deliverables? What happens if your team is counting on you to be at the pitch? What happens? That's what I'm saying. Like, so that tells me that person doesn't know about work yet, what's expected at work, and they don't know how to be an accountable team member, right? But they know how to take care of themselves, and amen to that.
Right. That is self-awareness.
Yeah, that's self-awareness. But there needs to be a little like, oh, that's right. I belong to a company. I belong to a team. So now I'm going to take PTO,
right?
Because I don't feel good.
Yeah, no, and I think it's a little bit also about just, being able to mirror the corporate kind of tone. It's just about even saying that, rephrasing it to a way that, I am, I don't know, even struggling with my mental health and I need a few days, or maybe not write an email, but talk first and then, just write an official email kind of to sum up our conversation. This is one of those moments where I think, writing it, I'm not getting the vibe from the email, I'm not loving it.
No, you got to go talk to your manager at that point. You got to be like, hey, do you have 5 minutes? Like, I'm just not feeling right.
Yeah.
And then
because I'm not really feeling like paying you for those days.
Well, that's the other thing. But we don't say that. That's right. That's the thing. No one, unless it's your own business, like we don't say that. But that's why I would be like, do you need our EAP?
Right.
And I never want to get so corporate like that. But I'm also like, what's up?
Right. Exactly.
Are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
Should I have your emergency contact on hand? Like, where are we here?
Right. Define vibe off.
Yeah. But, people, unless you work back office or unless you work in HR or you're aware of kind of the professional way, you don't sometimes think about that.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's very fair.
Yeah.
It's very fair of you to say that, as the professional who might be getting this email, let's try to just decipher what is meant by this. Yeah. And of course, there is a spectrum of reasons why a person might legitimately have a reason to take a few days.
1,000%. Give us a little beat so we can backfill that if we need to.
Exactly. Well, now the vibe is telling me that it's time to go on a quick break.
All right.
So when we come back, we have a question from a listener who is speaking up in meetings, but getting silence in return. So we'll see what that is all about in a second. Hey, quick break from AI. If you're enjoying workplace weirdness and you're thinking, wow, it's comforting to know other people's jobs are just as messy as mine, do us a favor. Follow the show, leave a review, or share this episode with the one coworker who would absolutely get it. New episodes drop every other Wednesday, and we've got more cringy emails, baffling bosses, and anonymous confessions coming your way. This is your safe space to laugh about the weird stuff work throws at you. Stay weird. Now, back to the episode. Welcome back to Workplace Weirdness. Before we get to our listener questions, I want to mention that if you have a workplace question, go to our website at workplace-weirdness.com and click on Share Your Story. We'd love to hear from you. I'm here with VaynerX's Chief Heart Officer and author, Claude Silver. Claude, we have a listener who's feeling overlooked or frankly ignored at work. Let's check it out. Dear Workplace Weirdness, I work at a huge global consulting firm with thousands of employees. I really like the work I do, but sometimes I feel like I'm just another number in the system. For example, in big all-hands calls or team meetings, I'll share ideas in the chat or raise my hand, but they get overlooked while leadership tends to focus on the more senior or outspoken people. Even in one-on-one check-ins, my manager usually sticks to status updates rather than asking about my career goals or how I'm doing. I don't want to sound entitled, but I also don't want to feel invisible. How do you stand out and advocate for yourself in such a massive company without coming across as needy or self-centered? From Invisible. So, this seems odd to me because why wouldn't a company want insight from a staff member? Yeah. But Claude, what do you think is going on here?
First of all, I just love the way she even poised the question. And she's got a lot of accountability there, which I really, really like. So I'm going to start with her manager. And I actually think she needs to take the bull by the horns. And I think she needs to somehow come up with a kind and respectful thing to say to her manager, which is, I appreciate that we do status updates and I'd really like to talk about my career growth. Is that something we can do maybe once a month? She needs to ask for what she needs. You and I both know that there are many managers that don't even know how to have that conversation about career path and career growth. So she may need to figure that out and then go find a mentor if she's unable to switch managers or, switch teams. So that's the first thing. You have to go to the ball. Don't expect for the ball to come to you. You really have to go to the ball. Now, in these large global all hands, okay, that has to be a mess. Like I can only imagine 2,000 people or more trying to get seen by the president or the CEO. I think you need to let people know that you believe you are being overlooked. I don't think that's needy, and I don't think that's entitled. I think it's honest. If you come from I love it here, and I want to contribute, right? Not from a me, I just want to be heard, but I want to contribute and I really want to stay here. So that's what I would say to Invisible. And hopefully you can change this, really quickly, especially with your manager, because that is a surefire way to leave a job.
I agree. First of all, I want to say, listener, don't be discouraged. You're doing a lot of things right.
Yeah.
I just think that, just trying to put yourself out there, that's bravery. That's exactly what we're talking about. I mean, chatting, I can't even chat in most of those chats. I feel like it's, it's a little too, you can't get your thoughts together sometimes.
Yeah,
it's hard.
It goes fast.
It goes really fast.
Even mine. I mean, I'm overlooked too when I put them in there because, either.
By the time I type it out, it was like a point that was made 3 minutes ago.
Exactly.
And then my other thought was, I was just trying to read between the lines. Perhaps there is something that this person is saying that is not matching the corporate tone. There might be words that are being used or language that is kind of missing the mark.
Yep.
So just check yourself on that. Because if that's what's happening, then maybe you're being kind of a little bit overlooked or ignored because people are just not getting what you are sort of getting at, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's a little bit of mirroring back, or speaking within the kind of norms of the culture.
Yeah.
That was one thought I had.
I would
And
say,
then-
if I may,
Yeah,
sorry.
of course.
Like
Please.
read the room, read the Zoom. You got to, like, is it fun and people are emojiing it? Or
Right.
Yeah, I think that you have such a good point because there's corporate language, there's corporate culture.
Listener, no one's going to know if you're just sitting silent in a corner. So I'm so glad that you're out there and you're just talking yourself up. And that's what you need to keep doing. So our next question is from a listener who works in finance and is going through a tough time professionally and personally. And that's somehow really disconcerting to their boss. Hello, Maya. I'm a senior project manager on the compliance and risk team at a very corporate financial firm. During a recent one-on-one, I tried to bring up how overwhelmed I've been. I've got a parent in the hospital, my partner just got laid off, and our team's been slammed with end-of-quarter reporting. To my absolute horror, I started crying. My manager completely froze, offered me a tissue through Zoom, a metaphorical tissue, and pivoted immediately to audit deadlines. Since then, he's canceled our last 2 check-ins, and last week in a team meeting, he asked someone else to present slides that I created. I keep kicking myself for letting myself get emotional in front of my boss. How can I recover from this? So, Claude, thoughts? How can or should this person bring their whole self to work, but also make sure their boss doesn't get flipped out by it?
I want to give her a hug.
I know, right?
He or she. I want to give them. I want to
Yeah.
give them a hug because, listen, you cried. It's going to happen. It's only natural. It sounds like you have a lot going on. What is obvious to me is the person that you spoke to isn't able to handle your emotion. And you need to find someone who will listen. And that's going to be in your HR department. That's going to be a friend, a manager. But what I want to ask you is, are you asking to take time off? Because you want to get clear on that. You're sharing that you're overwhelmed, but is there an ask? Because I will say, sharing that you're overwhelmed might not have been enough of an opening for this person to meet you. Maybe there needed to have been so I need to ask for an extra day off next week, or can I take Monday off, or something like that. But what I'm wondering is if there's a time, if you let enough time go by, is there a moment in time where you can ask that manager if you can go get a cup of coffee with them? And I don't want to say have a redo, just say hey, I recognize that I was really emotional. It was a really rough day and I might have made you uncomfortable. I'm sorry if that happened. And this person still might say, no, nothing happened. It's fine. Listen, you gotta just, again, it's accountability and it's okay to cry. I know it's embarrassing. Please don't kick yourself. It happens.
I've definitely been there. I've cried in front of my boss for much less, things than what this listener is going through. So I really do feel for what you're going through. I think it's a lot. What's interesting is that the reaction has been to kind of cut you out of things, listeners. So I think what you can say is, I think I'm agreeing here with Claude and saying you need to go back and say what you need from them. Because without that instruction, what they've done is what the manager or boss has done is say, okay, I'm just going to eliminate them from any responsibilities. And that's not what you want. That's not what you're saying. You're saying you just need a little bit of help, perhaps. It sounds like you want your one-on-one back. That's for sure. So please express that to them. I think that's the most important piece. And everybody works differently, but I have a feeling that that's what this boss needs. They need that specific kind of direction. And sometimes it's even okay, sort of like the way we would do in a relationship. I say this to my husband all the time. I don't need a solution. I just need to vent.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
So maybe you just said it because you needed to vent and you wanted this person to know. And you could also say that I do not expect you to change anything. I just wanted to vent and I needed you to know where I'm at, but that's not going to change my work.
Yes.
Although I would say with everything going on, it's okay to amend your schedule and be flexible and have some grace for yourself. So now we move on to the guy we all want to avoid in the office. Handsy guitar guy.
Mm.
All right, this is the cringeworthy question, we call this. Every week, we cover one question addressing the kind of cringeworthy work event that'll give you the blues. This week's cringeworthy question comes from an employee who was taking guitar lessons and discovered there was some unexpected strings attached. Dear Workplace Weirdness, I work at the central office for a large company, and though I've been here for over a year, I don't know that many people yet. So I was glad when the company announced a skill exchange program where employees volunteer to teach each other skills and talents. I signed up to get guitar lessons from a colleague I barely knew, and each week we'd meet for an hour in a conference room, and he began teaching me blues guitar. It was cool. However, soon this colleague started making comments about my perfume. P.S. I don't wear any, asking what I do at night and inquiring about my former relationships. He started complimenting me and standing too close. But the final straw was when he was showing me chords, this guy wouldn't let go of my hand. He just stood there clutching my fingers and staring at me. At the end of that lesson, I told him I had decided to stop learning guitar. He was upset, but finally asked if we could hug as a farewell. Stupidly, I agreed, and he gave me this embrace that involved him pressing his pubic area against mine. I described it to a friend as a crotch bump, and it gave me the ick big time. It sounds pretty icky, I have to say. I've been avoiding the colleague since, but should I report him to HR? I just wanted to make a friend at work, not create conflicts. What should I do here? From Fretting. Okay, so this is a tough one.
Yeah.
The skill swap sounded like such a great idea, and then this guy had to go and make it weird. So what do you think we should recommend this employee to do?
You need to go report it. I'm sorry. You have to. It was very inappropriate. He crossed several lines. And this is what I always say. Remember, you're reporting it for you. You're reporting it for the next person. If he comes in contact with this absolutely needs to be reported. This was on work time in the workplace during a work sanctioned function.
What if she hadn't accepted the hug? Would that have been, had he crossed the line?
Yeah, yes. No. She was made uncomfortable. And it sounds like she didn't do anything other than want to learn guitar. So he was inappropriate, and he needs to be told that and whatever else. We have no idea if he was written up before. We have no idea. But what we do know is if you don't say something, and I know it takes a lot of strength to go and talk about it with HR, it's going to happen again. It is. It's going to happen again. And gosh, I have such a belief in human beings, but I think this person really needs to know he crossed the line. And for whatever their policies stand for, he may have crossed a real line, and maybe bye-bye.
I also thought that HR should be called in just for another reason. I have a feeling they probably put together this whole program of the skills exchange.
Yeah.
Well, listener, I guess you won't be accepting any hugs from colleagues in the future, and that is definitely okay. So don't fret too much. So thank you, Claude, for joining us. Any last thoughts? And also, where can we find your book?
Yeah, last thoughts are the workplace can be really weird. It's not like your soccer team. It's not like your best friends. It can be weird. You're dealing with all different types of people and their personalities and quirks. And so the most important thing to do is just check yourself. Get yourself right so you know what works for you and what doesn't work for you. That's what I'm going to say. So I believe in you for sure. And you can buy the book, which went on sale yesterday at beyourselfbook.com, beyourselfbook.com. And you can always reach out to me at claudesilver.com. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much. And again, if you got some weirdness in the workplace, please go to our website at workplace-weirdness.com and click on Share Your Story. We might feature your question in an upcoming episode. This is Maya Kadar-Kowalski reminding you to embrace the quirks and make the most out of the office chaos. In the meantime, keep working, and whenever possible, stay weird. Today's show is produced by me, Maya Kadar-Kowalski, and Felicia Wang, and written by Dana Burnell-Lowe. Molly Citram is our content curator. Thanks to Billy Samoa-Salivi and the rest of the team at Podify who helped engineer this episode, and the wonderful team at Podstream who helped us tape in their studio. Thanks also to Claude Silver for joining us at today's episode, and thanks to you for listening to Workplace Weirdness. Make sure you're subscribed to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We'll be back next time for another breakdown of all things weird from a workplace near you.